Chosen one. Stop for a moment and listen. This is not a coincidence. This is a divine interruption. Heaven has pressed pause on the noise around you because this message cannot wait another day. You may have scrolled through hundreds of voices, but now you have arrived at the one that carries the weight of destiny. Your spirit knows it. Your heart is trembling because deep inside, you understand. You are not here by chance. You are chosen. You are set apart. You are called by name. You are not like the rest. From the beginning, you have felt it. You walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts. People misunderstand you, sometimes even push you away, because they cannot comprehend the oil that rests upon your life. What you have been carrying is not ordinary. That uneasiness in your soul, that sense that you cannot simply blend in, is the whisper of heaven saying, "Wake up. Chosen one, it's time." And every delay, every closed door, every disappointment was not meant to destroy you, it was meant to direct you. Look back at your life and notice how many times God spared you. How many times you survived what others did not. How many times you made it out when the odds were stacked against you. That was not luck. That was divine preservation. Your existence is proof that heaven has invested in you. Listen carefully. There is an urgency in this moment. You cannot keep postponing the call. You cannot silence your own spirit any longer. The time of hiding is over. The time of running is finished. God is calling His chosen ones into the light. You are not just surviving anymore. You are about to step into your assignment. And yes, I know what you've been through. Every sleepless night, every silent tear, every time you felt abandoned by people who should have been there for you. But chosen one, even in your loneliness, heaven never abandoned you. Angels stood guard when you thought no one cared. The Spirit whispered encouragement. When your strength was gone, what felt like breaking was actually shaping. What looked like the end was actually the preparation for a beginning. You are stronger than you know. Your very survival is the testimony. Hell fought you early because it saw the crown over your head. Demons tried to choke out your purpose because they knew the damage you would do once awakened. The battles you faced were never random. They were targeted. Why? Because you are dangerous to darkness. Chosen one. Your spirit has always carried a sound that heaven recognizes. Even when you tried to hide, even when you lowered your voice, the heavens still heard your cry. That cry reached the throne of God, and it was answered with mercy, protection, and the promise of a future that cannot be stolen. There is a reason your enemies could not destroy you. Even when they united against you, they underestimated the hand of God upon your life. You are not surviving by accident. You are living proof that destiny cannot be buried. The same God who lifted you before is about to lift you higher than you ever imagined. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." That light is inside you. It cannot be extinguished. It cannot be stolen. It terrifies the enemy every time you decide to rise. And today, I declare over you, you will rise. Beloved chosen one. This message is not just words. It is a divine summons. You are standing at a crossroads, and the decision you make today will mark you forever. Heaven is leaning in. Angels are watching. Your obedience will unlock doors that no human hand can shut. But your silence, your delay, could cost you blessings You cannot afford to lose. This is not to scare you, it is to wake you. The alarm clock of heaven is ringing, and you cannot hit snooze any longer. You must step out. You must respond. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now. That is why I am asking you, if you feel this word burning inside of you, if you sense that God Himself is speaking to you through these very lines, then don't keep it to yourself. Share this message so that other chosen ones can be awakened. Like this, so that it does not disappear into the noise. Subscribe so you never miss when heaven has something to say to you again. And in the comments, declare your faith. Type the number 777, the number of divine completion and covenant, to mark that you are in alignment with heaven today. Do not scroll away without acting. Do not silence the conviction that is stirring within you. This is your divine moment. Step into it. Chosen one. From the moment you entered this world, heaven placed a mark upon your life. You may not have noticed it at first, but others did. That mark made you different, and sometimes being different felt more like a curse than a blessing. While others seemed to flow through life unnoticed, you stood out even when you tried your best to hide. The whispers, the glances, the isolation you experienced were not coincidences, they were signs. Signs that you are not ordinary. Signs that you have been set apart since birth. Beloved, chosen one. There is no mistake in your existence. Before you ever took your first breath, heaven had already written your story. That's why you've always felt like you didn't fit in. You were not made to fit, you were made to stand out. People may have tried to label you, limit you, or silence you. But the hand of God has always been resting on your shoulders. Every time you felt overlooked by man, you were being noticed by heaven. Think back on your childhood. Those moments when you felt misunderstood. Maybe you were more sensitive than others, feeling the weight of pain around you more deeply. Maybe you carried questions no one else was asking, searching for meaning when others seemed content with shallow living. That inner stirring was not weakness, it was evidence. Evidence that God planted eternity inside your heart long before you knew what to call it. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 139, verse 16, "Your eyes saw my unformed body, all my days were written in your book before one." You are not a mistake. You are not an accident. You are intentional. Heaven planned you, shaped you, and preserved you. This is why certain things never made sense until now. This is why certain people could never truly understand you. How can the ordinary ever understand the chosen? They see only the surface, but heaven sees the seal over your spirit. Chosen one. Remember the times you felt a deep longing, as if something greater was pulling you forward. That longing is not restlessness, it is calling. Your soul has always been aware that you were marked for more. The weight you carried in silence, the nights you couldn't explain your tears, were all reminders that you are different. You were created for something sacred, something eternal. When you look back, you will realize how even the smallest details of your life carried divine fingerprints. The friendships that didn't last, the jobs that ended abruptly, the seasons that forced you into solitude, all were carefully orchestrated to lead you into your identity. God has been shaping you, molding you, and preparing you. Every detour was direction. Every delay was protection. Every ending was an opening for the greater story still unfolding. Beloved, understand this clearly. Being chosen does not mean your life will be easy. It means your life will be purposeful. You were never meant to float aimlessly through existence. Your steps are ordered. Your path is divine. The resistance you faced is confirmation of your assignment. If you had nothing valuable to offer, the enemy would have left you alone. But the battles prove your worth. The scars prove your calling. The very fact that you're still here proves that destiny is stronger than destruction. Sometimes you wondered, why me? Why does my life feel so different? Why can't I just live like everyone else? The answer is simple. You are marked. You are a vessel of light in a world of darkness. That kind of light cannot blend in, it must shine. And shining comes with pressure, with misunderstanding, with battles others cannot see. But beloved, never forget, pressure produces diamonds. Fire refines gold. And crushing brings forth the fragrance of oil. Your life is being refined because it carries a fragrance heaven intends to release. There will come a time when you finally understand why you had to walk such difficult paths. You will look back and see that every hardship built strength. Every rejection pushed you closer to your Creator. Every tear watered the seeds of your future. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been meaningless. Heaven wastes nothing in the life of the chosen. So today, let the truth settle deep within you. You were marked since birth. The seal of heaven is upon you, and no force of darkness can erase it. You may have felt invisible to people, but you were always visible to God. You may have felt unwanted by some, but you were always chosen by Him. And now, the time is drawing near for you to step fully into that identity. You will no longer question who you are. You will walk boldly as the one heaven has called. Chosen one. The truth is this: every burden you have carried has been shaping you for this moment. The weight was heavy not because you were weak, but because heaven trusted you with strength others did not possess. You walked through valleys that others could not survive, and you endured storms that should have drowned you. Every hidden tear, every cry in silence, every night you thought no one saw heaven, saw it all. It is not weakness that you felt pain. It is proof that you have a heart that feels deeply. That heart has been stretched by sorrow so that it can hold compassion for others. That heart has been pierced so that it can bleed with love for the broken. The very things that threatened to break you have been building you into a vessel of healing for others. Do not despise the weight. Chosen one. It has been your tutor. The sleepless nights taught you to pray when no one else was watching. The loneliness taught you to listen to the whisper of God. The rejections taught you that your value was never meant to be defined by people. You carry wisdom born from suffering, and that wisdom will one day save others. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." Think about that. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every wound became a doorway for God's presence. Every loss became an opportunity for Him to show His faithfulness. That's why you could never truly collapse. No matter how close you came, you always found a strength that did not belong to you. A resilience that surprised even yourself. That was the hand of God lifting you when you could not lift yourself. Chosen one. You must understand, the very things that made you weep in secret will become the reasons you lead in public. The scars you hide today will be the stories that heal tomorrow. People will look at you and see survival, but heaven will look at you and see destiny fulfilled. You did not carry all that weight in vain. It was birthing something eternal. I know you felt misunderstood, even by those closest to you. They could not see why life pressed so heavily upon your shoulders. But the reason they could not understand is because they were not carrying what you carry. You are not burdened by accident. You are burdened because you are chosen. And with that calling comes resistance, misunderstanding, and at times, isolation. But remember this, the isolation was never to punish you, it was to preserve you. The wilderness you walked through was not empty, it was holy ground. The silence that frightened you was actually an invitation to hear God more clearly, and those tears you cried into your pillow were actually prayers rising to the throne. Heaven has been watching you all along, shaping you for such a time as this. Beloved, let me remind you of this truth. You were never carrying the weight alone. Every time you staggered under the pressure, there were unseen hands lifting with you. Every time you nearly collapsed, grace came like breath into your lungs. You are still here, not because you are unbreakable, but because God refused to let you break. Now I ask you, chosen one, to take a step of faith. Write these words in the comments. I am rising. Say it boldly. Say it publicly. Why? Because there is power in declaration. When you type those words, you are not just leaving a comment, you are sealing an agreement with heaven. You are declaring that the weight you carried is not your ending, but your beginning. You are testifying that you refuse to be defined by pain, and that you are stepping into promise. Your comment is more than words on a screen. It is a prophetic act. It is you standing up and saying, no more hiding, no more shrinking, no more is silence. I am rising. When you declare this, you mark yourself as one who refuses to stay buried under yesterday's sorrow. You join your voice with heaven's decree, aligning yourself with destiny. So let it be known, the weight you carried was never wasted. The burdens that pressed upon your shoulders were not the end. They were the beginning of a testimony that will shake the earth. You may have been crushed, but you were never destroyed. You may have been wounded, but you were never defeated. You are chosen. You are marked. And you are rising. Chosen one. Do you know why the battles against you have been so fierce? It is because there has always been a clash of kingdoms over your life. The moment you were marked by heaven, darkness took notice. The forces of evil recognized the light you carried, and they began their assault early. That is why your childhood was difficult, why your adolescence felt like warfare, and why, even in adulthood, you often felt targeted without reason. You are not cursed, you are chosen, and the chosen are always opposed. When heaven invests in a soul, hell responds with resistance. The unseen war has raged around you, and though you could not see all of it, you felt the weight of its reality. The confusion, the setbacks, the inexplicable battles, all of them were signs of a greater conflict. Darkness was trying to silence a voice that carries authority, to snuff out a light that cannot be extinguished. But you survived every attack because your destiny is stronger than their schemes. There is something extraordinary about your journey. Chosen one. You may not have understood why certain doors slammed shut, why certain relationships crumbled, or why betrayals cut you so deeply. But what you thought was random pain was actually targeted strategy. The enemy knew that if you reached the fullness of who you are meant to be, his plans would unravel. That is why the warfare felt personal. It was. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Think of the times you felt attacked by misunderstanding, rejection, or envy. The faces may have been human, but the source was spiritual. Darkness operates through vessels, just as light does. But where the enemy thought to use people to harm you, heaven used those same moments to refine you. What was meant for destruction became training. What was meant to crush you became the very thing that taught you how to stand. Beloved, the clash of kingdoms in your life is evidence that you carry something beyond ordinary influence. You carry a mantle that threatens the agenda of darkness. That is why you often felt like you were in the middle of storms you did not provoke. It wasn't because you were weak, it was because you were a threat. And threats are always met with resistance. Yet here you are, still rising, still breathing, still holding on to faith. That is the proof that light is stronger than darkness. Even in your weakest moments, your spirit refused to bow. Something inside you always whispered, "Keep going." That whisper was the voice of God, reminding you that the war may be fierce, but victory has already been secured. Remember, you were never left to fight alone. Angel Stuttgart. Unseen, but mighty. The Spirit interceded when you could not even find words to pray. The hand of God preserved you when you had no strength to preserve yourself. That is why you can stand here today, reading these words. Still alive, still breathing destiny. You are not just a survivor, you are evidence that heaven always wins. This is why the enemy fears you. He knows that once you step fully into your assignment, the chains he placed on others will begin to break. He knows that when you rise, others will rise with you. He knows that the light within you carries power to expose the schemes he has hidden in darkness. That is why he fought you so relentlessly. And that is why you must never mistake the intensity of the battle for abandonment. Heaven has never left you. Instead, the clash of kingdoms has been heaven's confirmation. You are dangerous to the enemy, valuable to the kingdom, and unstoppable in your purpose. The darkness has thrown its best against you, and yet here you stand, bruised, perhaps, but unbroken, tired, maybe, but undefeated, wounded, yes, but still chosen. So lift your head, beloved. See your scars as medals of honor. They testify that you have walked through fire and emerged with faith. They are proof that though kingdoms clashed over your soul, heaven's decree prevailed. And because heaven's decree has prevailed, your story is not ending in defeat, but in glory. You are not ordinary, and your life has never been ordinary. The warfare proves it. The survival proves it. The light you carry proves it. Chosen one. The clash of kingdoms over your life is not a reason to fear, it is the reason to rise. Chosen one. Deep within you, a flame has always been waiting. At times, it flickered quietly like the glow of a candle in a storm. At other times, it roared like a wildfire threatening to consume everything in its path. That flame is the sign of your calling, the awakening of something eternal that cannot be ignored any longer. Heaven is stirring you, urging you to recognize that what burns within is not just passion, it is destiny. For so long, you may have tried to suppress it. You buried your dreams under responsibilities, your voice under fear, your vision under doubt. But a flame cannot remain hidden forever. Even when covered, its smoke rises. Even when pressed down, it searches for air. Your spirit has been that flame longing for expression, aching to rise, refusing to die. And now, the Spirit of God is breathing upon it, calling it into fullness. The prophet Jeremiah once confessed in his writings, chapter 20, verse 9, "His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot." Every time you feel restless, every time you sense a holy dissatisfaction with ordinary, that is the flame calling for more air. Every time you dream bigger than your circumstances, every time you feel like you don't belong in mediocrity, that is the flame reminding you, you were not created to hide, you were created to burn. But here is the truth about fire: it must be fed. A fire left unattended will fade. A fire starved of fuel will grow cold. This is why your spirit longs for connection, for nourishment, for alignment with voices that fan your flame rather than smother it. You need reminders like this message, moments that feel like divine breath blowing on embers, so the spark inside of you does not die. And this, beloved, is why I speak plainly. If this flame in you has been awakened as you listen, then I invite you to feed it. Just as oil keeps a lamp burning, your engagement keeps this message alive. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are not just supporting a channel, you are fueling a fire. Your action becomes the oil that allows this light to shine to others who desperately need it. Think of it this way: when you share, it is as if you are carrying a torch into another village where someone is stumbling in the dark. When you subscribe, it is like joining a gathering of lanterns, each one lighting the way for the next. And when you choose to give, when you donate from the depths of your heart, it is as if you are bringing fresh wood to the fire, ensuring it never dies down but grows hotter, brighter, and stronger. I do not ask this lightly, and I do not ask it selfishly. I ask because this is how flames survive: through community, through sacrifice, through the willingness of each chosen one to keep the fire burning for the sake of others. Somewhere out there, another soul feels as lost as you once did, waiting for a message that says, "You are chosen too." Your gift, your sharing, your faithfulness is the bridge that carries the flame to them. Beloved, imagine a forest at night, filled with darkness. Then imagine one person holding a torch. It helps a little, but the darkness still looms large. Now imagine hundreds of torches lit together. The darkness retreats. The path becomes visible. The fear is driven away. That is what happens when you and I, and all who are listening, decide to feed the flame together. We become an unstoppable blaze. This is more than content, more than words on a screen. This is a movement of light against darkness, and movements are only sustained when the chosen rise together. So I invite you, with sincerity and love, like this, so the flame remains visible. Share it, so another torch may be lit. Subscribe, so you remain connected to the fire. And if your heart leads you, give as one who adds wood to the fire of revival. Your contribution, whether a simple click or a generous gift, becomes part of the eternal story. Heaven is writing through you. And make no mistake, every small action matters. Sparks become embers. Embers become flames. Flames become wildfires. Do not underestimate the power of one spark, one act of faith, one seed planted in obedience. So let the fire within you awaken fully. Chosen one, stop hiding it. Stop fearing it. Stop shrinking from it. This is your time to burn bright, to shine, to awaken others through the flame of your obedience. Together, we will see a blaze that darkness cannot put out. Chosen one, you have walked through the fire and carried weight that seemed unbearable. Yet you are still standing. And now, heaven calls you into a moment of prophetic alignment. There are times when words are not enough, when the soul needs a physical action to seal what the spirit has already received. This is such a moment. The stirring you feel right now is not ordinary emotion. It is the Spirit moving within you, reminding you that you are not forgotten, not overlooked, not left behind. There is a reason you found this message today. The timing is precise, and the summons is clear. Heaven is calling you to respond, not tomorrow, not later, but right now. You see, chosen one. When God calls his people, he often requires them to mark the moment with an act of faith. In ancient days, they built altars of stone. They raised banners in the wilderness. They poured oil upon sacred places. Why? Because faith requires action. A prophetic act anchors the unseen into reality, sealing the spiritual into the physical, according to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 6. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Beloved, I invite you into this prophetic act. In the comments, type the number 444. Do not treat it as random digits on a screen. Treat it as your altar, your declaration, your marker in eternity. 4 is the number of stability, of foundations, of divine order. By writing 444, you are declaring that your foundation is no longer built on fear, rejection, or pain. It is built on the rock that cannot be shaken. Think of it this way. When Israel crossed the Jordan, the Lord commanded them to take 12 stones from the river and build a memorial to others. They may have looked like ordinary rocks, but to Israel, they were testimony, reminders of where God had brought them and where he was leading them. That is what your 444 will be: a stone of remembrance, a mark of covenant, a testimony that you stood and said, I belong to God's chosen ones. Oh, chosen one, don't let hesitation steal this moment. You may think typing a number is too small to matter, but obedience is never small. Every mighty act of God begins with small steps of faith. Naaman was healed only when he dipped in the river. The widow saw her oil multiply only when she poured. Peter walked on water only when he stepped out of the boat. And you, too, will see breakthrough as you take your step of obedience. There is also a hidden mystery here. Numbers have always carried prophetic weight in Scripture. 7 marked completion, 12 marked government, 40 marked testing, and 4 repeated 3 times in 444 marks, a divine stability multiplied and sealed. It is heaven's way of saying, what I build in you will not collapse. What I establish in you will endure. Oh, beloved, as you align yourself with this act, picture the foundation beneath your feet, strengthening. See the cracks of doubt being filled, the fractures of rejection being healed, the weakness of yesterday being replaced with strength for tomorrow. You are not building on shifting sand anymore. You are building on the eternal rock. I know some of you have felt like your life has been unstable, jobs lost, relationships broken, dreams delayed. But today, heaven speaks stability over you. The storms may rage, but your house will not fall. The winds may howl, but your walls will stand. The waves may crash, but your anchor will hold, because you, chosen one, are aligning with the unshakable foundation of God. Do you feel the weight of this moment? Do you sense that this is not about numbers on a screen, but about a covenant in your soul? Heaven leans in when you act in faith. Angels take notice when you obey. The unseen realm shifts when you say yes. This is not symbolic, it is spiritual. So I say again, type 444, not as empty repetition, but as holy declaration. Let it be your way of carving your name into heaven's story. Let it be your banner lifted high, your stone of remembrance, your seed of obedience. And once you do, let peace fill you. Let the assurance settle deep. You are standing on the foundation of God Himself, and nothing can move you. Beloved chosen one, this is your moment. The shaking in your life is not to destroy you, it is to reveal what cannot be shaken. And what cannot be shaken is now rising in you. Your flame is protected. Your steps are ordered. Your foundation is secure. Your destiny is unstoppable. Chosen one. There are moments when mercy whispers, and there are moments when mercy warns. Today is such a moment. For too long, many delay, saying, tomorrow I will obey. Tomorrow I will surrender. Tomorrow I will step into my calling. But tomorrow is not promised. Tomorrow is a fragile illusion that can vanish with a single breath. Heaven is warning you. Delay is no longer safe. You have felt the tug of the Spirit, the urging that says, now is the time. Yet hesitation lingers. Fear holds you back, and distraction pulls you away. But beloved, every delay is costly. Every moment you linger in indecision is ground gained by the enemy. Mercy has been patient. Mercy has been kind. But mercy also has a boundary. The Spirit is pressing on your heart because the hour is urgent. Think of a cliff edge. You cannot always see how close you are until the ground suddenly disappears beneath your feet. Many are walking dangerously close to that edge without realizing it. The warnings you hear are not to terrify you, but to awaken you, to pull you back before the fall becomes irreversible. Heaven's call is clear. You cannot keep living half awake, half committed, half obedient. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 3. For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. Beloved, that time is not far off. It is here. And in this age of distraction, compromise, and noise, you are being summoned to choose differently. You cannot remain neutral in a war. To delay is to drift, and to drift is to be swept away. There is no safe middle ground. Every day you postpone, surrender, the enemy strengthens his grip. Every time you silence conviction, the voice of God grows fainter in your ears. That is the danger of delay. It dulls the senses, numbs the heart, blinds the eyes, and before long, What was once urgent becomes ignored. What was once alive becomes cold. Chosen one. Heaven is warning because heaven loves you. If God did not care, He would let you walk blindly into destruction. But because you are chosen, you are pursued. Because you are set apart, you are being warned. The Spirit is not speaking to condemn you, but to awaken you. Mercy is sounding the alarm, saying, "Do not harden your heart. Do not silence this voice. Do not wait until it is too late." And there are crossroads in life that shape eternity. You are standing at one now. One path leads to compromise, to procrastination, to numbness of spirit. The other path leads to obedience, to awakening, to alignment with God's will. The choice is yours, but the weight of it cannot be overstated. This is not a small decision. It is destiny. Do not be deceived by the seeming comfort of waiting. Waiting feels safe, but it is not. Waiting feels easy, but it is costly. While you wait, your gifts lie dormant. Your light remains hidden. Your destiny is delayed. And while you wait, others who need the fire within you remain in darkness. You were not called to wait, you were called to walk. Beloved, mercy has shielded you many times. Mercy covered your mistakes, rescued you from traps, lifted you from pits. But mercy is also a teacher, and today mercy is teaching you that delay is dangerous. To postpone obedience is to play with fire. To resist conviction is to harden your heart. And a hardened heart is far more perilous than a broken one. Understand this. Brokenness is not your enemy. A broken heart, hot can heal. A broken spirit, hot, can restore. But a hardened heart resists even the touch of heaven. That is why the Spirit is pressing on you now. While your heart is still tender, while conviction still stirs, while the flame is still alive. Respond before the tenderness fades. Respond before the urgency dulls. Respond before it is too late. Do not think you have endless time. The greatest deception of the enemy is to whisper, "Not now, later." You can wait, but later often never comes. Later becomes years. Later becomes regret. Later becomes a lifetime of wondering what might have been. The Spirit is not calling you later. The Spirit is calling you now. Chosen one. Let these words burn into your heart. Delay is not harmless. Delay is costly. Delay is dangerous. But obedience immediate. Wholehearted obedience is life. It is light. It is destiny fulfilled. So let your heart awaken. Let the urgency of heaven pierce your soul. Do not wait for another sign, another confirmation, another day. The sign is here. The confirmation is now. The day is today. Step back from the cliff. Step away from the edge. Step into the arms of mercy while they are still extended. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every journey when the chains must break. You have carried burdens that were never yours to carry. Some of them were placed on you by the mistakes of others by the wounds of your past, and still others by the silent weight of generational struggles passed down through family lines. But hear this clearly. Heaven never intended for you to remain bound. Every chain, whether seen or unseen, is destined to shatter under the power of God. For too long, you may have believed that bondage was normal, that cycles of failure, fear, or rejection were just part of who you are. But those patterns are lies, woven by darkness to convince you that freedom is out of reach. Yet, deep inside, your spirit has always whispered, "I was made for more." That whisper is the voice of truth, calling you beyond the chains. Some chains are loud and obvious addictions, destructive habits, toxic relationships. Others are silent but equally heavy: shame, unforgiveness, self-doubt, insecurity. Both kinds keep you from running freely in the path set before you. But beloved, every link in those chains is weaker than the word spoken over your life. You were chosen not to live in captivity, but to walk in liberty. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. "This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live." Choosing life means choosing freedom, breaking the cycle, refusing to hand your children the same chains that tried to suffocate you. Consider the story of Israel in Egypt. They had been slaves for generations, so long that bondage became their identity. Yet when God delivered them, He did not simply break their physical chains, He began breaking their mindset of slavery. That is what He desires for you. It is not enough to escape the prison. You must also learn to walk as the free, think as the free, and live as the free. Beloved, some of the chains you carry were not forged by your own mistakes, but handed down through bloodlines. Generations before you may have opened doors to patterns of brokenness, poverty, addiction, anger, bitterness. Those doors became cycles, and those cycles became chains. But you are chosen to be the one who breaks them. You are the interruption, the line in the sand, the one who declares, "It stops with me." Instant. Breaking chains is not always instant. Sometimes it is a process of daily surrender, of learning to release what you once clung to. Forgiveness is one such chain breaker. To forgive is to drop the weight that has been shackled to your ankles. It feels unnatural at first, but every act of forgiveness loosens another link until your soul can run free. Another chain breaker is truth. Lies bind, but truth sets free. When you replace "I am unworthy" with "I am chosen," when you replace "I will never overcome" with "I am more than a conqueror," the locks that held you begin to crack. The truth of God's word is not just comfort, it is a weapon that smashes the lies of darkness. And beloved, never underestimate the power of worship. Chains thrive in silence, but they shatter under the sound of praise. When Paul and Silas worshipped in the prison, the earth shook. The doors flew open, and every chain fell loose. Worship is not a song, it is a declaration of freedom. Each time you lift your voice, you invite heaven's power into the darkest corners of your life. Do not be discouraged if the process feels slow. Even iron rusts when exposed to water over time. Every act of obedience, every whispered prayer, every decision to trust is like a drop of water wearing down the metal. Soon, what once seemed unbreakable will crumble. Beloved, imagine yourself walking forward. At first, the chains rattle and pull, but with every step, another link falls. You do not always notice it immediately, but the sound is there, the sound of freedom being born. One day, you will turn around and see nothing but shattered links scattered behind you, and you will realize I am free indeed. Beloved, the clash of kingdoms may rage. But remember this, every chain forged in darkness is fragile in the presence of light, and the light in you is unstoppable. Rise, walk, and let the sound of breaking chains be your anthem. Chosen one, the moment has come to lift your head and remember who you are. For too long, you have lived as though you are a servant to circumstances, a victim of the past, a wanderer without a crown. But you were never meant to crawl, you were born to reign. The weight of your calling is not only survival, it is royalty. Your crown has been waiting for you. Even while dust gathered on your shoulders, the enemy has worked tirelessly to convince you otherwise. He tried to convince you that rejection was your identity, that failure defined your future, that brokenness was your permanent home. He whispered, "You are unworthy. You are forgotten. You are powerless." But lies can never strip away what heaven has already placed upon your head. The crown may have slipped, but it has not been stolen. It is still yours. We find in the book of Philippians, chapter 3, verse 14, "I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." Chosen one. Your life is not aimless wandering. It is a climb toward a prize. A crown. A calling. The struggles you endured were not the end of your story. They were the road that leads you to the throne prepared for you. Think of a crown for a moment. It is not light. A true crown carries weight. It pressed down, reminding the one who wears it of both responsibility and honor. In the same way, your calling has always felt heavy. But that heaviness is not punishment. It is royalty settling on you. The pressure you feel is proof of the crown upon your life. Beloved, perhaps you have hidden your crown in shame. Perhaps you have felt unworthy to wear it, thinking, someone else is better suited. Someone else is more holy. Someone else is stronger. But heaven disagrees. The crown was fashioned for you. It fits no one else. It carries your name, your destiny, your assignment. No substitute can take your place. And now, heaven calls you to rise and claim it. You cannot leave your crown in the dust any longer. You cannot let fear keep you from wearing what God has given. You cannot let the voices of doubt drown out the truth that you are chosen to reign. This is your hour to stand tall. Shoulders back, head lifted high, and let the world see the light of royalty shining through you. Beloved, when you step into your crown, you remind others of their own. The courage you display becomes contagious. The dignity you walk in becomes a mirror for those who forgot their worth. Every time you refuse to bow to shame, you give others permission to stand. This is bigger than you. It is a movement of chosen ones rising together, each crowned, each radiant, each unstoppable. But I must tell you, wearing the crown requires choice. You cannot carry it casually. You cannot place it on and off depending on how you feel. To wear the crown is to embrace consistency, to declare, "I will walk as royalty even when life feels like ashes." It is not pretending that battles don't exist. It is choosing to fight them from a place of authority, not defeat. We find in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial. Having stood the test, they will receive the crown of life." Your crown is eternal, incorruptible, unshakable. The world's crowns rust, fade, and fracture, but yours endures. And every act of obedience, every battle endured. Every moment of faith strengthens your grip upon it. Chosen one. The time for hesitation is over. You must declare it. You must own it. Let heaven and earth witness your faith today. Write these words in the comments. My crown awaits. No, do not think of it as a simple comment. Think of it as a coronation. With those 3 words, you are proclaiming, I refuse to leave my destiny in the dust. I refuse to live as though I am defeated. My crown is real. My crown is waiting, and I will rise to wear it. Then, when you type it, you step into agreement with heaven. You silence the lies that said you were unworthy. You break the chains that whispered you were powerless. You plant your feet firmly on the truth that you are chosen, crowned, and called beloved. Can you feel it? The weight of royalty settling on your spirit, the fire of purpose burning brighter than the shame of your past, the whispers of heaven declaring, rise, chosen one. Your crown is waiting. Your throne is prepared. Your season is now. Do not let this moment pass. Lift your eyes. Straighten your back. Step forward with courage. Your crown awaits. And it was always meant for you. Chosen one. This is the hour when heaven calls you higher. You cannot remain where you are, because your spirit has outgrown the walls of yesterday. The stirring within you is not restlessness, it is the call of God pulling you into higher ground. Just as an eagle cannot stay in the nest forever, you cannot stay in the comfort of the familiar. The sky was always meant to be your dwelling place. The journey upward is not always easy. Mountains are steep, winds are fierce, and valleys echo with voices urging you to stay low. But the higher you climb, the clearer the vision becomes. From the mountaintop, what once overwhelmed you looks small. From the heights, the noise of the world grows faint, and the voice of God grows strong. The prophet Isaiah declared in chapter 40, verse 31, those who hope in the Lord will renew strength, soar on eagle's wings. I run, not grow weary. Walk, not be faint. But listen carefully. The climb requires intention. It demands that you lay aside unnecessary weight. You cannot ascend with baggage that belongs to the valley. Fear cannot come with you. Doubt has no place at higher altitudes. At the mountaintop, the air is thin and only faith can breathe there. This is why you have felt heaven urging you to release old habits, to surrender toxic patterns, to let go of what hinders your flight. And as you climb, you are not climbing alone. These words you hear are not simply sounds, they are ropes thrown to you, pulling you upward. Every like, every share, every subscription is more than a digital act. It is as though you are adding stones to a staircase that others may climb as well. When you engage, you help build the path for another chosen one to rise. Beloved, think of this message as a lantern carried on a dark trail. When you share it, you are handing the lantern to another traveler stumbling in the shadows. When you subscribe, you are saying, I will not walk alone, I will stay connected to the light. And when you give, when you choose to donate it, is as if you are providing oil to keep the lantern burning bright for all who pass this way. Without oil, even the strongest flame can dim. With oil, the light shines night after night, guiding countless souls home. Your generosity becomes a seed planted in sacred ground, and like every seed, it does not remain as it was, it multiplies. A single seed can grow into a tree, and a single tree can bear fruit for generations. Your act of giving is not lost in the vastness of the digital world. It is planted in the soil of heaven's purposes, and its harvest will outlive you. Beloved, imagine a great fire in the wilderness. It begins with one spark, but unless wood is added, it will fade. Now imagine many chosen ones bringing branches, logs, and kindling. Suddenly, the fire grows into a blaze that no wind can extinguish. This is what happens when you choose to give. You are not keeping a fire for yourself. You are adding to a flame that will warm nations. I say this with all sincerity. Let your engagement be your offering, your way of climbing higher, your way of sustaining the flame. Like, so that the flame remains visible. Share, so that someone else finds the path. Subscribe, so that you stay connected to the mountain's call. Donate, so that the oil never runs out and the fire never dies. This is how we rise together. Chosen one, not by standing alone, but by holding each other up, not by hoarding the flame, but by spreading it, not by hiding the treasure, but by investing it. Heaven does not call you to climb in isolation. Heaven calls you to ascend as part of a company of light bearers, each carrying a torch, each sustaining the fire, each feeding the flame. So, take your step today. Rise higher. Shed the weights. Let your engagement, your giving, your obedience be the wings that carry you into the sky. And as you soar, know this: your light is guiding others. Your flame is fueling hope. Your crown is waiting on the mountain where heaven and earth meet. Beloved chosen one, this is your call to rise. Do not stay in the valley when you were created for the heights. Spread your wings. Add your wood to the fire, and let the world see what it means when the chosen answer heaven's call. Chosen one, deep within you, there has always been something wild, something uncontainable, something that refuses to be silenced. It is not arrogance. It is not rebellion. It is the roar of the lion within you. For years, you may have felt it stir at times, only a whisper. Other times, a tremor that shook your very bones. And though you tried to quiet it, the roar has never gone away, because it was placed there by God Himself. The lion within you is boldness. It is authority. It is the holy fire that says, I will not bow to fear. I will not shrink before darkness. I will not let shame define me. This lion has been tested in silence. It has grown in the shadows. It has been refined through pain. And now, its time has come to roar. You have lived seasons of silence. Seasons where the enemy tried to muzzle your voice. The rejection of others made you doubt yourself. The weight of past mistakes made you feel unworthy to speak. But the lion does not ask permission to roar. When the time comes, it simply releases what is inside. And when it does, the atmosphere shifts. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 19, The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to tread on the heights. Understand this. The roar is not for noise. It is not for display. It is a weapon. Lions roar to establish territory, to remind intruders that the ground belongs to them. In the same way, your roar is spiritual. When you speak truth, when you declare light, when you proclaim the promises of God, You are announcing to darkness, "This territory is no longer yours. My life belongs to God. My family belongs to God. My destiny belongs to God." And do not think that your roar goes unheard. The enemy hears it. Heaven hears it. Angels respond to it. The roar of a chosen one shakes the unseen realm. It reminds the adversary of his defeat, and it reminds you of your authority. You are not called to whisper through life. You are called to declare, to disrupt, to dismantle the schemes of darkness with the power of your voice. Perhaps you have underestimated your own voice. Perhaps you believed it was too small, too broken, too unworthy to carry weight. But beloved, your roar was never meant to come from human strength. It is birthed from divine fire. When you speak, it is not merely you, it is heaven echoing through your frame. That is why the enemy tried to silence you so violently. He fears what will happen when you open your mouth. Think of the moments when you spoke encouragement without even realizing its impact. Someone's heart was lifted. Someone's burden was eased. Someone's hope was restored. That was the lion inside you, roaring through words, wrapped in compassion. And in seasons when you prayed, whispered, though your prayers may have been, they shook things in the unseen realm. That, too, was the roar of the lion. Beloved, lions do not apologize for their sound, and neither should you. This is not the season to shrink back. It is the season to embrace the authority you carry. Authority not given by man, but by the King of Kings. Authority not built on title, but on testimony. Authority not based on perfection, but on obedience. The roar within you is also a call to others. Lions do not hunt alone, they move in prides. Families bound by loyalty. In the same way, your boldness awakens boldness in those around you. When you roar, others find courage to lift their own voices. When you declare light, others remember that they too are chosen. Your roar is not just for you, it is for the rising of a generation. Do not confuse meekness with silence. Humility does not mean you erase yourself. Even Jesus, the Lamb of God, is also called the Lion of Judah. He walked with gentleness, but he also spoke with authority that silenced storms and cast out demons. You carry that same spirit, the spirit that knows when to be still and when to roar. Beloved, chosen one, picture yourself standing on a cliff, wind pressing against you, the valley stretching out below. You open your mouth, and what emerges is not timid speech, but a sound that carries for miles. That is what is awakening in you, the roar that declares you are no longer bound, no longer silent, no longer hidden. You are chosen, and chosen ones roar. So let the lion within you rise. Let boldness replace fear. Let authority silence shame. Let your voice carry the sound of heaven. For when you release your roar, darkness trembles, chains shatter, and the kingdom of God advances. This is who you are, not a whisper in the crowd, but a roar in the wilderness that cannot be ignored. Chosen one. Alignment is not just about walking in the right direction, it is about walking in step with heaven itself. You have felt the tension when your life has been out of rhythm. You have known the frustration of trying to force doors open that heaven had shut, or clinging to paths that no longer carried grace. But something shifts when you choose sacred alignment. Suddenly, the crooked places straighten. The fog begins to clear. and your spirit feels the peace that only comes when you are walking where heaven leads. Sacred alignment is not about perfection. It is about surrender. It is about saying, "Lord, not my will, but yours." It is about trusting that even when the road feels narrow, it is the road that leads to life. Many resist alignment because it requires letting go. It requires releasing control, loosening the grip on what feels comfortable, and daring to believe that God's plan is better than ours. Yet those who resist alignment remain restless, tossed like waves with no anchor. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 14, verse 33, "For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace, as in all the congregations of the Lord's people." Think back on your journey. How many times did misalignment exhaust you, walking in circles, pouring energy into things that drained you, holding on to relationships that pulled you further from your calling? And then, think of the moments when you surrendered, when you prayed with honesty, when you trusted beyond what you saw. In those moments, didn't peace flood your soul? That is the fruit of sacred alignment. But alignment is not only about personal peace, it is also about divine power. When you align with heaven, your words carry weight. Your prayers strike with accuracy. Your steps break ground for others to follow. Alignment transforms you from a wanderer into a warrior, from a drifter into a vessel of purpose. That is why the enemy has fought so hard to keep you distracted and divided within yourself. If you ever step fully into alignment, you become unstoppable. Beloved, sacred alignment also impacts generations. Your obedience today becomes the stability your children and grandchildren stand upon tomorrow. Every choice to align with heaven breaks cycles of misalignment that have plagued your family for years. Where there was once disorder, there will be order. Where there was once confusion, there will be clarity. Where there was once chaos, there will be peace. You are not just aligning for yourself, you are aligning for those who come after you. Do not despise the process. Alignment is often painful because it means pruning. God will cut away what cannot remain, not to harm you, but to make space for fruit. Branches that looked alive but bore no fruit must be trimmed so the true life can flow unhindered. You may weep over what is lost, but soon you will rejoice in what blossoms. And remember this, sacred alignment is not about the absence of storms. Even when the winds blow, those who are aligned stand firm. Even when waves crash, those anchored in God do not drift. Alignment does not guarantee ease, but it guarantees endurance. You will not crumble under pressure because you are standing on the rock that cannot be shaken. Beloved, chosen one, you are being invited into a prophetic act of alignment today. Just as stones were stacked by the Jordan to mark Israel's crossing, just as altars were built to declare covenant, you are being asked to mark this moment. At the close of this message, I will ask you to leave a sign in the comments, not as vanity, but as covenant, a number that reflects your yes, your alignment, your agreement with heaven's order. It is time to respond, not only with your heart, but with your action. Let heaven witness it. Let the unseen realm take notice. Type the number 555 in the comments as your declaration. Do not take it lightly. 5 is the number of grace, and repeated 3 times, it becomes the seal of abundant grace. By writing 555, you are declaring, I step into grace, filled alignment. I choose to walk in heaven's order. I choose peace over chaos. I choose obedience over delay. Beloved, your alignment is not small. It shifts atmospheres. It breaks chains. It sets your future on solid ground. Let this be the day you remember, the day when grace multiplied over your life, the day when you said yes to sacred alignment, the day when heaven wrote your obedience into eternity. Chosen one. The word spoken over your life is not fragile, nor is it uncertain. It is an unshakable promise, forged in the very heart of God before you ever took your first breath. Many voices have tried to convince you otherwise. Circumstances whispered that you were forgotten. Disappointment suggested that you were overlooked. And battles screamed that you were abandoned. But none of these things have the power to erase what heaven has decreed. A promise from man may fail. A promise from institutions may crumble. Even your own promises to yourself may have faltered under the weight of human weakness. But the covenant of God is different. It does not waver. It does not wither. It does not break. It is bound not by human effort, but by divine faithfulness. What he has spoken, he will bring to pass. What he has promised, he will fulfill. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 89, verse 34. I will not violate my covenant or alter what my lips have uttered. Think of Abraham. He was promised descendants as numerous as the stars. Yet for years he saw nothing but barrenness. Doubt whispered, time mocked, and impossibility laughed. Yet the promise stood firm. And when the season was right, the impossible bent its knee to the word of God. So it shall be for you. Your waiting does not weaken the promise. It only sets the stage for a testimony of greater glory. Beloved, I know how heavy waiting can feel, when days turn into months, and months into years. The heart grows weary. You wonder if perhaps you misunderstood, if maybe the promise was never meant for you. But let me remind you, delay is not denial. The unshakable promise does not dissolve in the silence. It anchors you when everything else shifts. It holds you steady when your own strength falters. The unshakable promise also protects. Sometimes God withholds certain things, not because he has forgotten, but because he is safeguarding the timing. A fruit picked too early is bitter. A door opened too soon may crush rather than bless. What you see as delay may actually be divine protection, ensuring that when the promise manifests, you are ready to carry it. Remember Joseph. He dreamed of greatness, of influence, of a crown. Yet before he saw the fulfillment, he was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and locked in prison. To human eyes, the promise looked shattered, but in truth, every pit and prison was positioning him. The promise was never lost, it was maturing. And when the day came, Joseph rose not only to wear a crown, but to preserve nations. So too, with you, chosen one. The promise over your life is not fragile. It is maturing, unfolding, preparing to be revealed in its fullness. Do not let the pit convince you that the palace has been cancelled. Do not let the silence convince you that the song has ended. The unshakable promise is still alive, still beating, still destined to manifest. Beloved, understand this. Your struggles are not evidence against the promise. They are evidence of its weight. The heavier the destiny, the fiercer the battle, the larger the calling, the longer the preparation. You are not enduring hardship because you are forgotten. You are enduring because what you carry is too precious to be rushed. Lift your eyes from the ground of disappointment and fix them on the horizon of promise. Look again. Chosen one, the clouds that covered your sky are thinning. The dawn is nearer than you think. The God who spoke light into darkness has spoken over your life, and his word cannot return void. Anchor yourself in this truth. Storms will come, but the promise will stand. People may betray, but the promise will remain. Even your own failures cannot disqualify you from what heaven has written. Repentance restores, grace rebuilds, and mercy rewrites, but the promise endures through it all. Beloved, there will come a day when you will look back and see how every detour, every delay, every tear was woven into the fabric of fulfillment. You will see that the promise was never in danger, even when you were. You will see that the covenant was never fragile, even when you felt fragile. And in that moment, you will lift your voice in awe, saying, "Truly, his promise is unshakable." Until that day, hold firm. Let your faith grip the unmovable. Let your heart rest in the eternal. Do not measure the promise by what you see now. Measure it by the one who gave it. And the one who gave it is faithful. The one who gave it is eternal. The one who gave it cannot lie. So, walk forward. Chosen one, not as one who wonders if the promise will hold, but as one who knows the promise holds you. For you are anchored not in shifting sand, but in the unshakable covenant of God. Chosen one, when God marks a life, he does not simply whisper encouragement, he places a mantle upon that soul. A mantle is more than a symbol. It is the weight of authority, the transfer of responsibility, the covering of divine assignment. It is invisible to the eyes of the world, but undeniable in the spirit. You may not have realized it, but even now, a mantle is being placed upon your shoulders. Think of Elijah and Elisha. When Elijah's time was ending, he cast his mantle upon Elisha. That mantle was not fabric alone. It carried prophetic fire, spiritual authority, and divine responsibility. The moment Elisha caught it, he stepped into something far greater than himself. So too with you. The mantle being released upon your life is not for decoration, but for transformation. It changes who you are and how you walk. Beloved, you may feel unworthy to carry such a mantle. You may think of your failures, your weaknesses, your inadequacies. But remember, mantles are not given to the perfect, they are given to the chosen. The authority of heaven does not rest on flawless resumes, but on surrendered hearts. The mantle falls not because you have earned it, but because God has appointed you. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Beloved, that is what the mantle carries, the assurance that you are not alone. When the mantle rests upon you, so does the presence of the Lord. Carrying a mantle also means carrying weight. The weight of intercession for others. The weight of obedience in moments of testing. The weight of faithfulness when no one else is watching. It is not a burden meant to crush, but a sacred weight meant to steady you. It presses upon you so that you may learn to walk carefully, to live intentionally, to move with reverence. Do not mistake the mantle for mere privilege. It is privilege, yes, but it is also responsibility To wear a crown is to carry glory, but to carry a mantle is to shoulder responsibility for others. Your life is no longer just about you. It becomes a vessel through which others encounter God. That is why your choices matter more now than ever. That is why obedience is not optional, but essential. Beloved, there may be moments when you want to shrug the mantle off, to lay it aside, to return to a simpler life. But once the mantle falls, it cannot be ignored. It will tug at you in the silence, burn within you in the night, and call to you, even when you try to run. Jonah tried to flee from his mantle, yet the call pursued him even into the belly of a fish. The mantle is not easily shaken. It clings because it was fashioned for you. Perhaps you wonder what your mantle looks like. For some, it is the mantle of prayer, carrying others into God's presence when they cannot pray for themselves. For others, it is the mantle of encouragement, speaking life into weary souls. For some, it is the mantle of leadership, guiding with wisdom and courage. And for others, it is the mantle of creativity, releasing beauty and truth that reveals God's glory in the earth. Whatever form it takes, the essence is the same. Heaven entrusts you with a piece of its mission. Beloved, do not fear the mantle. It may feel heavy at first, but it will teach you strength. It may feel foreign, but soon it will feel like a second skin. And when you grow weary, remember that the mantle does not rest on your strength alone. It rests on the Spirit who empowers you, the same Spirit that sustained prophets, apostles, and warriors now sustains you. One day, others will look at your life and not see your weakness, but the mantle you carried. They will see how your obedience opened doors for them, how your faithfulness preserved blessings for them, how your prayers shielded them. Your mantle is not only about you, it is about legacy. So, walk forward, beloved chosen one, with the mantle resting on your shoulders. Do not shrink beneath its weight. Do not despise its responsibility. Lift your head, steady your steps, and let the mantle shape you into the vessel heaven intended. For you were not chosen just to survive. You were chosen to carry the mantle, and through it, to change the world around you. Chosen one, when you said yes to God, something shifted in the unseen realm. The battlefield of your life was never the same. Darkness lost the ground it once claimed, and light began to spread from within you. This is why the warfare has been so intense, because your obedience has altered the balance of power. The enemy trembles when a chosen one rises. For every yes to God is a no to hell's agenda. Picture a battlefield at dawn. Shadows retreat as the sun rises, the night giving way to light. That is what your obedience does. Each step forward sends ripples through the unseen realm. Each prayer you whisper is like an arrow piercing through the fog. Each act of faith is like a torch set aflame, pushing back the darkness that once surrounded you. You may not always see it, but heaven does, and the enemy certainly does. The prophet Elijah once stood on Mount Carmel against hundreds of false prophets. To human eyes, he looked outnumbered, but in truth, he was never alone. Heaven backed him. Fire fell. Darkness fled. Beloved, your life carries that same principle. You may feel small compared to the giants of resistance you face, but heaven's armies are with you. Your roar, your prayer, your obedience carries fire. The Apostle Paul declared in his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, Verse 31. If God is for us, who can be against us? This is not a poetic phrase, it is a battle cry. When God stands with you, the odds no longer matter. When heaven is on your side, defeat is not an option. Beloved, this battlefield is not only about you. Your obedience clears ground for others. Your prayers shield people you may never meet. Your faith leaves footprints for another to follow. You are a soldier, yes, but also a torchbearer. Where you walk, others will see the light. Where you stand, others will find courage to stand as well. And here is the beauty of it. You are not fighting alone. These very words are part of the army God is gathering. Each like is not just a click, it is a spark, a declaration that the flame is alive. Each share is not just a button pressed, it is as though you are handing a torch to another weary traveler on the battlefield. Each subscription is not simply following a channel, it is like joining a battalion, saying, I will not fight this war alone. I will march with the chosen. Even your giving, your donations carry weight far beyond what you imagine. They are not coins dropped into emptiness. They are seeds planted into the soil of battle. Each seed becomes arrows for the fight, fuel for the fire, banners that fly high to remind others that victory is certain. Imagine a soldier without armor, a fire without fuel, a lamp without oil. That is what a movement looks like when support is absent. But when you give, you provide armor, fuel, and oil to keep the flame alive, to keep the battle moving forward. Beloved, understand that supporting is not about transaction, it is about transformation. Your engagement builds something greater than yourself. It builds a wall of light in a world filled with shadows. It builds a chorus of voices declaring that chosen ones will not be silenced. It builds strength for the weary and hope for the hopeless. So I speak to you sincerely. If these words stir your soul, do not let them pass like wind through empty hands. Engage. Like to keep the flame visible. Share to spread the torch. Subscribe to remain part of the company of light. Donate, if you are able, as an act of sowing into the battlefield where victory is already being declared. And beyond that, comment with faith. Your words are not small, they are banners lifted high, proclaiming that you stand among the chosen. I invite you now, beloved, to mark this moment. Write in the comments, I stand chosen. Let those 3 words be your declaration. With them, you are telling heaven, I embrace my identity. You are telling the enemy, I will not bow. And you are telling the world, I belong to a company of warriors, crowned with glory, walking in light. End of. Your comment is more than pixels on a screen. It is a battle standard planted in the ground. It is a declaration of loyalty to the one who called you. It is a rallying cry that others will see and take courage from. Someone who feels alone will read your words and realize they are not fighting by themselves. Someone wavering on the edge will see your stand and find strength to make their own. Beloved, chosen one, never underestimate the battlefield you shape with your obedience. Your light terrifies darkness. Your voice shifts atmospheres. Your yes alters destinies. And together with every like, every share, every subscription, every gift, and every declaration, we become not scattered voices, but an army of light. And an army of light cannot be stopped. Chosen one, can you feel it? The steady rhythm in your spirit, that will not allow you to quit. The inner march that pushes you forward even when your strength feels small. This is the unstoppable march. You are not here by chance, nor do you move aimlessly. Every step you take now carries the sound of destiny, the echo of heaven's decree, the assurance that you were created for such a time as this. There is a reason you could never stay down for long. Every time life pushed you to the ground, something inside you refused to remain there. You rose again. Even when you felt broken, you kept moving. Even when your legs trembled, that resilience was not your own. It was the Spirit of God carrying you forward. Your march is not fueled by human strength, but by divine power. The battlefield has been fierce. You have endured seasons where defeat seemed certain. The weight of opposition pressed hard, and the shadows whispered that you would not make it. But beloved, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. That is the miracle of the chosen. You may stumble, but you do not stay fallen. You may weep, but you do not lose hope. You may fight, but you do not fight alone. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 16, the righteous may fall 7 times, yet they rise again, but the wicked stumble in calamity. The unstoppable march is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about refusing to let yesterday's failures dictate tomorrow's steps. It is about saying, I may have fallen, but I will rise again. I may have been delayed, but I will not be denied. The march continues because the calling cannot be erased, and the covenant cannot be broken. Beloved, think of an army marching together. The ground shakes beneath their steps, the sound echoing across valleys and mountains. One soldier may feel weak, another may carry wounds, but together their rhythm never falters. That is what you are part of. You are not a lone wanderer. You are part of a divine company, each chosen one carrying their torch, their flame, their testimony. Your steps may feel small, but combined with others, they create an unstoppable force. At times, you may wonder if your march matters. Perhaps you think, what difference can my obedience make? What can my faith accomplish? But every step you take is shaking the unseen. Every prayer you whisper is carving paths for others. Every act of faith you choose is planting seeds that will bloom long after you. Your march is not insignificant, it is eternal. Beloved, remember how Israel marched around the walls of Jericho. To the world, it looked foolish, silent steps circling stone, but each step carried weight. Each circuit carried power, and when the time was fulfilled, the walls collapsed, not because of human might, but because obedience in marching had unlocked heaven's intervention. In the same way, your steady march is tearing down unseen walls. Barriers that stood for years will crumble because you refuse to stop. The unstoppable march also means you are moving toward victory, not away from it. The shadows may try to confuse you, but your direction is clear. Each day you choose to rise. You are advancing. Each time you say yes to God, you are conquering ground. Even in seasons where progress feels slow, heaven sees that you are not retreating. You are moving steadily toward the promise. There will be moments when you feel weary, when the journey feels endless. But even in those moments, the march continues. The Spirit strengthens you like wind at your back. Angels surround you like fellow soldiers. and heaven's presence goes before you like a pillar of fire. You are not left to walk alone. You march with a company unseen, with a commander who never fails, with a destiny that cannot be denied. So keep moving forward. Do not despise the pace of your progress. Do not compare your march to another's rhythm. What matters is not how fast you move, but that you do not stop. Your faithfulness is your weapon. Your persistence is your roar. Your obedience is your victory. And one day, you will look back and see how far you have come. You will realize that every step mattered. Every battle shaped you. Every scar became part of your glory. You will understand that the march was not just about reaching the destination, it was about becoming who you were always meant to be. Chosen one. The journey has brought you here to the place of crowning, through valleys and storms, through silence and fire, through trials that pressed but did not destroy. You have arrived at the threshold of glory. The crown is not a trinket of vanity, nor a symbol of pride. It is the mark of identity, the seal of destiny, the visible sign of an invisible covenant. Heaven placed it upon your head, not because you demanded it, but because you endured. You obeyed, and you refused to surrender your call. A crown is more than gold and jewels. It is the weight of testimony. Every scar on your soul, every tear shed in silence, every step taken when your body screamed to stop, all of these are forged into its brilliance. The world sees only the shine, but heaven sees the story. And your story has been written with fire, with water, with blood, with grace. The Apostle Peter declared in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 4, "And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away." This is the promise that anchors you now. Unlike crowns of this world, which rust and decay, your crown is eternal. It will not fade with time. It will not lose its light. It is secured by the hands of the shepherd who never loses one of his flock. Beloved, do not underestimate what this crown represents. It is not only for you, it is a sign to the unseen realm that you belong to the kingdom, that you carry heaven's authority, that you are marked forever as chosen. It terrifies the enemy, because the one who wears the crown cannot be deceived into believing they are worthless. It inspires others, because when they see you crowned, they remember their own identity, waiting to be claimed. And yet, the crown is not the end, it is the beginning of a greater charge. To be crowned is to be commissioned. It is to walk not only in dignity, but in responsibility. The crown says, "I am chosen," but it also says, "I am accountable." Your steps carry weight. Your words carry power. Your life carries light that others depend on. Think of Esther. She did not ask to be queen, but when the crown was placed upon her head, her assignment shifted. She was no longer just Esther. She was the one positioned to save her people. In the same way, your crown is not for vanity, but for victory. It is not to elevate you above others, but to position you so others may rise. Beloved, wear your crown with humility, but also with courage. Do not bow your head in shame as though you are unworthy. Heaven has declared you worthy. Do not hide it under fear as though it is too heavy. The Spirit strengthens your neck to bear its weight. Do not doubt its reality as though it is only imagination. The crown is as real as the scars that birthed it. Your journey has prepared you for this moment. The fire that tested you polished the gold. The tears that stained your cheeks became the jewels. The weight you carried shaped your shoulders to bear its glory. Nothing was wasted. Everything was woven into the crown now resting upon you. Beloved, this is not the crown of the world. It is the crown of glory. It shines not with earthly brilliance, but with eternal radiance. It carries the fragrance of heaven, the testimony of endurance, the beauty of redemption. And once placed, it cannot be removed by man, by darkness, or by circumstance. It is sealed by the very hand of God. So lift your head, chosen one. Walk as one crowned. Let your steps echo dignity. Let your voice carry authority. Let your presence radiate the light that terrifies shadows. The crown is not decoration, it is your armor, your weapon, your identity. And with it, you are unstoppable. There will be days when you forget it rests upon you. Days when you feel unworthy again, small again, fragile again. But even in those moments, the crown does not fall. It does not roll away. It remains, waiting for you to remember who you are. And in remembering, you rise again. One day, when this life has passed, the crowns of the chosen will be laid at the feet of the one who gave them. But until that day, your crown is your commission. Wear it boldly. Live it fully. Walk in it daily. For you are not just chosen, you are crowned in glory. Chosen one. The journey we have walked together through these words has not been by chance. Each section was a step, each truth a stone, each declaration a spark guiding you closer to the heart of your calling. You have seen how destiny interrupts, how battles shape, how chains break, how mantles fall, and how crowns are placed. And now, you stand crowned, not in pride, but in purpose. Let this not be the end, but the beginning. Remember always, you were never meant to blend in, never meant to vanish in the crowd. You were set apart, chosen, refined, and crowned for such a time as this. The scars you carry are not signs of defeat, but seals of endurance. The tears you shed were not wasted, they became the jewels in your crown. And as you walk forward, know this, your crown is not only a reward, it is a responsibility. You are called to shine in dark places, to roar when silence would be easier, to carry light for those who have forgotten their own. Your life is now an altar, a testimony, a living proclamation that God's promises are unshakable and His chosen cannot be defeated. So, step boldly into tomorrow. Wear your crown with humility, with strength, with joy. Let the world see that heaven's chosen ones are rising, and that nothing, no storm, no chain, no lie can silence them. Beloved, your best days are not behind you. They are ahead, waiting to be claimed by the one who knows. You are chosen. You are unstoppable. You are crowned in glory.